in affiliation with Boss Rush Games. Please visit Boss Rush Games and follow them at the links below to read reviews, hear podcasts, and for all things video game related. Boss Rush Games. Play games. Be better. Media Molecule is known for developing titles that are not just creative by design, but allow the player to show their creative side as well. Their hit Little Big Planet series has been all about creating your own levels and putting your own mark on the world, while their innovative title Dreams is almost like a game developing engine in game form. Their game Tearaway is more like the former than the latter, with a greater emphasis on gameplay and exploration than on player creativity. At its heart, Tearaway is a traditional 3D platformer with the goal to collect items across a vast world and make it to the end of each sprawling stage. Deep down, however, Tearaway is an allegory of the video game player's interaction with the video game. While its alluring craft-like visuals and exciting levels are what may draw the player in, it's the conversation it has with the gamer that will make the greatest impact. Tearaway originally released on the PlayStation Vita in 2013. It was inspired by the Papercraft's game artist Rex Kroll would leave around the Media Molecule office, and isn't that far removed from equally stunning games like Kirby's Epic Yarn and Yoshi's Woolly World. The game's setting appears to be made of paper and other crafting tools. It works fantastically in an open 3D world, and these characters really do look like Papercrafts come to life. The main draw of the title, however, was the deep use of nearly all of the PlayStation Vita's features. Media Molecule believed that the controller was ultimately the way gamers communicate with their system and the game itself. If we want a character to run, we use the controller. If we want them to jump, we use the controller. The designers were much more interested in the player having a greater conversation with their game and the game world, however. The controller can do so much more than just move your character around. Players can use the Vita's camera to take a picture of their surroundings and transplant it into the game. The rear touch panel is used to push your fingers through the backside of the Vita and into the game, interacting with the environment and harassing enemies. The touchscreen is also used to draw and design items when the need calls for it. As we all know, the Vita was not the success that Sony and Media Molecule had hoped. Despite favorable reviews, neither the game nor the console were big sellers. Media Molecule then decided to bring Tearaway to the much more popular PlayStation 4. However, for a game that was so reliant on the Vita hardware, a direct port of the game just wasn't possible. Therefore, the game was remade from the ground up, an expanded remake if you will, which substituted the Vita for the PS4's DualShock and redesigned the levels to be better accommodating to the necessary changes. Thus, Tearaway Unfolded released in 2015, but to dismal results. The game failed to reach any spot on weekly, monthly, or year-end sales charts, and debuted at just number 33 in the United Kingdom, way short of expectations. In Japan, it performed even worse, not even cracking the top 50 video game sales in its launch month. Marketing certainly played a major role in this, as I had never even heard of the game before I decided to play it, and when asking around, very few of my friends had either. Still, did Tearaway Unfolded deserve its lackluster sales? Or is this a gem that PlayStation fans have missed out on? Tearaway Unfolded doesn't just establish a link between the player and the game via the use of its controls, but also in its very plot. The game takes place in the paper-crafted world of Valley Fold. Here live two godlike beings, the Green Man and the Fortune Teller. These powerful creatures greet the player, referring to the gamer as the You, and proclaim that they have invited you there to write a brand new story for them. See, they have heard the stories of Valley Fold countless times and have grown quite bored of them, and require some excitement. They first task you with creating the Messenger, a humanoid named either Iota if it is male, or a Toi if it is female. The messenger's task is to deliver a letter directly to you via a hole carved out of the world's sky. Just as you begin to guide your messenger to the said hole, the Green Man and the Fortune Teller decide to spice things up a bit, drawing matter from the you world and bringing it into Valley Fold. This matter takes the form of corrupt critters named Scraps, and they seek only to impede the messenger's progress and wreck the paper-crafted world. With all of this set into motion, the Green Man and the Fortune Teller become satisfied that the stage that they have set will make for an entertaining story, and sit back to watch it unfold. Media Molecule describes Tearaway's plot as a kind of buddy movie, starring the messenger from the paper dimension and you. The messenger and you have a symbiotic relationship. You cannot read the letter from the messenger without guiding them, and the messenger cannot deliver the letter without being guided. Both beings need each other. It's a deep concept for a platformer, an analysis of gaming in general. It may not be much different from any other game in regards to its overall goal, but in its presentation, it establishes a closer bond with the controlled avatar than you may otherwise have, and forces you to think of the game's world in a completely new way. When coming to the PlayStation 4, Media Molecule had to change much of the controls that were present in the Vita release. Just as they did with the handheld, the developers have managed to take full advantage of the DualShock 4 and all of its features to create a fully unique experience. In addition to the primary movements of running, jumping, grabbing, and rolling, the messenger will learn new skills throughout the adventure. One such ability is the power to call forth the wind. By swiping your finger across the touchpad, you can cause a gust of wind to flow in that direction. This may be needed to push items in a certain way, to guide an air-powered vehicle, or even shove small scraps off of platforms and to their doom. Another awesome power gives you the ability to absorb an object into the controller and launch it with force wherever you please. By having the messenger pick up something, be it a rock or even a small squirrel, you can aim the messenger towards the screen and toss it into the controller. The DualShock will vibrate heavily, often making the noise of the object rattling around inside. Then, you can aim where you want this object to go. Maybe you want to throw back that rock at a powerful scrap to knock it off its feet, or assist a small animal reach a high spot that they couldn't otherwise get to. There are loads of potential and opportunities to use this ability. Throughout the game's world are drum skins that react when you press and release the touchpad button. These work like a trampoline, propelling whatever is on them up into the air. The drum skin is especially helpful in getting a Toi or Iota airborne, but can also launch unfortunate scraps into the abyss as well. The DualShock 4's most noticeable feature is perhaps the dynamic light bar attached on its shoulder. This is one of the most distinct parts of the controller that separates it from most others. In most games, this light bar has little effect. It can sometimes change color to represent your health level, or maybe the color of the team you're playing on in a multiplayer game. Tearaway Unfolded makes the absolute most out of this light, making it very visible in the game itself. By pressing the L2 and R2 buttons, you can shine a bright light into Valley Fold, aiding the messenger to see in dark areas, and also crucial in ridding the corruption behind the scraps and cleansing the world back to its original beautiful state. The light can even be used in battles, blinding most scraps and forcing them to move right where you want them. The brilliance of Tearaway's platforming comes from you seamlessly using these abilities to solve problems and maneuver complex areas. For example, the messenger may need to run and jump across some platforms, be propelled via a drum skin onto another raised area before using the wind to clear off another platform, and then aiming the light to uncover one last area to leap to. During the game's later stages, the fluid use of these powers makes for some exciting gameplay that I've rarely encountered in a platformer before. It's a refreshing experience. It also helps that the controls feel tight and solid in Tearaway. As a fan of the Little Big Planet games, I can't help but feel that the actual controls aren't always the most responsive. Sackboy can sometimes feel too floaty, too light, too easily pushed around in his plush environments. The game's physics often have a way of intruding on the run and jump gameplay of those games. Tearaway has little of that. Almost always, if the messenger falls into a pit and dies, I feel that it's my fault, not the game's uneven terrain making a jump harder than it should be, or the weightlessness of the character making jumps less precise. Tearaway strikes a great balance of feeling accurate on the physics level while maintaining that all-important playability. Tearaway is light on the creative aspect that highlights other Media Molecule games, but that doesn't mean it doesn't include them. Frequently, you will be asked to create an item for a character in the game, a crown for the Squirrel King, for example. You do this by tracing the outline of the object on the DualShock's touchpad. You can then edit your artwork, add fun details like eyes or flowers, and change the color. I like the idea, in theory, but at the same time, I hate the touchpad. I've never found it to be a reliable form of touch control, and all of my efforts in drawing turn out, well, like this. After a while, I stopped caring. This isn't a fault of the game, mind you, but of the hardware. I enjoyed the platforming and exploring so much that I rushed through these segments just to get back to what I liked. For someone that has the patience, the creativity, and of course a sense of humor, this can be a wonderful accompaniment to the standard gameplay, but it just wasn't for me. As with most any 3D platformer, Tearaway Unfolded is all about the collectibles. Every level is literally littered with colorful pieces of paper appropriately called confetti that functions just like coins in the Super Mario games. These are your simplest and most numerous of collectibles and can be found anywhere from out in the open in clumps or hidden inside out-of-the-way boxes. These can be used to unlock new creative pieces such as new eyes or lips or clothing options to outfit the messenger or other characters with. The game also keeps track of the number of enemy scraps in each level. To obtain that alluring 100% in each stage, you need to defeat all the scraps by any means possible. This isn't always as easy as completing a level from beginning to end. Often, foes guard side paths, hidden treasures, or gather in large hordes that are easier to run from than dispense. Red presents are also hidden in each level, often in hard-to-reach locations, and award the messenger with a large stash of confetti when opened. Blue presents are usually much easier to find, but are much harder to open. These require you to complete a quest or other task to obtain their gift. Sometimes this is giving a character a new creative look, or bringing scattered items back to a central location, or maybe navigating a precarious platforming section. Lastly, there are papercraft objects that have nearly been erased by the evil scraps that you will need to locate and resurrect. These appear as solid white shadows in the game's world, and require you to wipe out your camera and take a clear photo of it. While many are in easily accessible locations, others require the messenger to be in a very specific spot just to get the right angle. Still, the rewards for uncovering these can very much be worth it, as obtaining these will provide you with papercraft instructions to bring a recreation papercraft to the real world. Tearaway's music is nothing but pure joy. Kenneth Young, known for his outstanding work on the Little Big Planet games and more recent Astra's Playroom, crafts an award-winning folk-inspired soundtrack that has the warmth of a homemade meal. It's playful, giddy, and at times seemed handcrafted, just as Tearaway's Paper World. The use of down-home instruments such as acoustic guitar, fiddle, and wind flutes welcomes the player and invites them to get cozy in this genial world. It's music that at times makes me think of gathering around a campfire to listen to a story, or jamming out with my friends on the back porch, or just having an all-around good time. This soundtrack deserves all the commendation that I can give it. It's a shame that more people haven't experienced Tearaway Unfolded, or its PS Vita counterpart. These are finely crafted, pun intended, games that stand out as one of the best platforming experiences I've had in the past decade. Its graphics, its controls, the level design, the music, all of it is of the high quality that one comes to expect from a Sony published game. So don't sleep on this imaginative title. Tearaway Unfolded is worth every penny, and then some. Anyway, here's Wonderwall.